We all know the weight of a day where the impulse to move simply doesn't arrive. In these moments, it's easy to blame a lack of character or label ourselves as lazy, sinking backward into the guilt of our own inaction. The ancient Stoics actually viewed this state as a goal. They called it apatheia, a hard-won emotional equilibrium where a person remains perfectly steady and untroubled by the chaos of the world around them. Clinical observation reveals a different reality. In a medical context, apathy is defined as a measurable reduction in goal-directed activity. It represents a functional decline in the brain's ability to generate interest or initiate behavior. To understand the severity, we have to separate it from its common mimics. Depression is often a jagged wave of active, painful emotions like guilt and despair. Laziness is a stuttering wave, an internal struggle where you have the desire to avoid a task, but still possess the capacity to force yourself through it. Apathy is the flat line. It is the absolute absence of that internal struggle. There is no protest, no anticipation, and no emotional impulse to act at all. When this internal drive vanishes entirely, we have to trace the brain's electrical pathways to find exactly where the signal is being blocked. Motivation is a rigid three-part chain reaction. First, frontal lobes evaluate if a task is worth the effort. This hands off to dopamine systems, generating the emotional spark of anticipation. Finally, execution centers launch physical effort to complete the task. Our experience of willpower is the subjective result of these specific links firing in perfect synchronization. Apathy occurs when biological or environmental factors interrupt this flow. Physical damage like strokes can shatter the frontal lobes. Metabolic issues like B12 deficiencies weaken chemical transmissions, or chronic stress overtaxes the dopamine system, causing the emotional spark to fizzle. This creates a specific hollow state. You logically understand that a task is important, but you feel no internal pulse or pull towards completing it. Whether caused by hardware damage, metabolic fuel issues, or total system exhaustion, the result is the same. The impulse to act is gone. Because it relies on so many variables, apathy is rarely a standalone diagnosis. It is a syndrome, a collection of signs that indicate the brain's motivational circuitry is struggling to function. This makes apathy a vital diagnostic signal. Much like a fever indicates an underlying infection, the loss of drive indicates a deeper disruption that needs to be identified and addressed. Context matters for the time frame. A 5 to 7 day period of low motivation following a major stressor is often a natural protective response, a way for the brain to conserve resources while it recovers. The situation changes when that flat line persists beyond 2 weeks. If the lack of drive begins to degrade basic hygiene, professional duties, or social bonds, the brain is signaling a more persistent failure. Recovery depends on tracing the specific break in the chain. Depending on the symptoms, the solution might involve nutritional correction with a doctor, therapeutic support for burnout, or neurological intervention for brain health. Willpower is an ineffective tool in this state. Just as you cannot power a device if the internal wiring is severed, you cannot force motivation through a broken neurological circuit. Recognizing apathy as a biological disruption shifts the focus from shame to repair. It is a signal that the internal machinery needs investigation, patience, and the right conditions to restore its rhythm.